at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.
Someone surely does. Oh. And, concentration. The first concentration. Adolf Hitler opened the first concentration camp in 1933. Today.
33. Wow.
Yeah.
Grandmothers. I will have you go first because I have no news articles pulled up.
Well, that's all right. You can, I
I
mean,
gotta be
yeah.
a little late.
James Earl Ray pleaded guilty. I don't want to do that one. Is it almost time? Oh, I better. Oh, they need to change your clock. We're waiting.
Waiting for the clock to go. Can you go?
They need to fix our clock.
Okay, hang on a second.
Hey, it was-
Okay, go whatever. I'm waiting for that clock, but okay.
Do what?
Yeah, go now if you're ready.
Okay. Thank you for tuning into the Blind Community Thrift Store reading service. My name is Pat, and I'm here with Noah. We invite you to listen to our broadcasts both live and on demand. Our live sessions are available on the Blind Community Thrift Store YouTube channel, Monday to Friday between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m. each week. Additionally, you can access on-demand content through the Audio Reader Network, which offers a wide range of audio materials for the visually impaired community. To explore content from the Audio Reader Network, please visit www.reader.ku.edu. The site provides details about accessing content via Amazon Alexa, Audio Reader Network mobile app, and information on receiving a radio to listen to the broadcast by KSMU Radio. All broadcasts are played over KSMU's subcarrier airwaves at 67 kilohertz on 91.1 from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Contact Audio Reader Network for information on receiving a pre-programmed radio.
Airport art gallery made by jury students faces imminent removal. A flooring project at the Springfield Branson National Airport means that a gallery structure needs to come down soon. Builders of the gallery and airport officials hope that the 100-year-old wood of its walls can be preserved and rebuilt elsewhere. But not much time remains for that new home to be found. Because of flooring renovations at the terminal, it may need to come down in a few weeks. Artport is a wooden structure inside the airport's terminal that has hosted exhibits organized by the Springfield Regional Arts Council, Springfield Public Schools, and more. It is part of the airport's Sky Gallery, a series of places where art is displayed. Tracy Scooter, a professor of architecture at Drury University, said she and her students knew from the beginning that the Artport would be a temporary structure. But now that its removal is imminent, she is hoping that space for it can be found elsewhere in Springfield. That's the plan, to gift it to another organization that has a place for it and would put it to good use, Suter said. We'd hate to see something of this value end up in a dumpster, and the airport folks don't want to see that happen either. Brian Whaler, director of aviation for the airport, said that the art displays still have a home at the airport through its Sky Gallery program. But the Artport is in a location where it hinders the terminal's growth, he said. We have a great relationship with the arts community, and we value the partnerships we've had, Weiler said. It's a great way that we've been able to help the Arts Council showcase local artists, and that's not going to stop. I think it's a great thing for us if people can enjoy viewing the arts once they are flying in or out. We think it's a great first impression for us. The Artport stands between two baggage carousels in the western half of the airport's terminal. It is an open-air structure with 4 walls, no roof, and large entries. Equipped with lighting fixtures, art was displayed on both the outside and the inside. The structure is also equipped with a generous storage closet. Weiler said he has seen many travelers take a few moments to view whatever has been displayed. Leslie Forrester, executive director of the Springfield Regional Arts Council, saw the same thing every time she visited, she said. Artists have also sold works that have been displayed there. It is a really great spot to hang a gallery, Forrester said. There are lots of great walls and seating nooks in the airport, but those are out of the way. The Artport was right there in the middle, one of the first things that you see when you walk into the airport. Currently, because of construction, no exhibits are on display. The Artport stands in a place where its carpet needs to be replaced with terrazzo floors, and underneath the floor is infrastructure for a possible third baggage claim, Weiler said. Workers with Nabholz Construction have closed down one of the airport's 2 baggage carousels in order to complete the flooring project. The current phase of floor replacement is right next to the airport structure. Noting that the airport has had 3 consecutive record-breaking years of growth, Weiler said that the terminal still has plenty of room to grow. The terminal has room for a 3rd airline counter and a 3rd baggage carousel. The airport may never need to build that 3rd airline counter, Weiler said. Industry forecasters foresee in 5 years most check-ins and other needs happening on people's smartphones. But I don't see people not bringing bags anytime soon, Weiler said. Right now, we're in construction with 1 functioning baggage carousel, and if that goes down, we're in a world of hurt. Our leadership had the forethought to look at these things, so the fact that we are plumbed in for a 3rd baggage carousel is an asset that we have. Suter, a fellow with the American Institute of Architects, is the director of Design Build programs at Drury. Design Build is a construction procedure where a contractor offers not only to design a project, but build it as well. Built in 2009, Artport was both designed and built by Patrick Butler, Daniel Renner, Justin Bruce, and Austin Abbott, students in Drury's architecture program led by Suter. The structure features wood harvested from a more than 100-year-old barn that was falling into disrepair. Using Ozarkeology, an Ozarks-based enterprise no longer in business, the wood was reclaimed and treated to remove any nested insects, metals, and more. It was created on Drury's campus to be portable, Suter said. It is comprised of 8-foot panels that were made at Drury, then delivered on a 16-foot trailer to the airport for reassembly. It was designed to match the airport's theme of leaning into the Missouri Ozarks, Suter said. We became aware of a company going around the Ozarks and collecting barns that were falling into the ground, collecting all that wood and processing it the proper way, Suter said. We thought, wow, wouldn't it be great to repurpose a more than 100-year-old barn into something beautiful at the airport to display local art on? Originally, they appreciated the patina left behind, Suter said, but then opted to give the wood a cleaner look. The results are wooden walls with a bright glow and sheen enhanced with only a clear coat for preservation. Finding a spot will be challenging, Suter said. The structure measures about 35 feet long, 17 feet wide, and 10 feet high. Drury has no available space on its campus for the structure, she said. And not much time remains. While Weiler didn't have an exact estimate for the structure to come down, he said it would probably be weeks, not months, before it needs to come down. We're willing to cooperate in any way that we can, but there's not a whole lot we can do, Weiler said. We really don't have the capability to house it, and we'll need to move it very soon. If we knew we had a partner that wanted it, perhaps some steps could be taken to extend that. But we just don't know. Suter also acknowledged that cost may be a factor, even though Artport was designed to be portable. The airport's budget for the flooring project includes disassembly of the structure, but not for relocation or anything else. She said she is in contact with a builder who can put the structure back together, and she's willing to drive a trailer for transportation. Suter said she knows saving the structure is a long shot. I don't have any problem with the airport, folks, Suter said. We're working together. I'm just trying to assist them because we put so much love and effort into this project, so I want to make sure it can continue on.
Missouri bill targeting fatherlessness epidemic is getting bipartisan support this week. Missouri bill aims to create Missouri Fathership Project to support fathers in reestablishing relationships with their children. The project would fund positions at nonprofits to help fathers navigate the court system, job applications, and other challenges. The bill passed in the Missouri House and now moves to the state Senate for consideration. When Mark Ludwig lost shared custody of his son more than a decade ago, his life fell apart. The devastation of losing my son, who was my sole purpose in life, I couldn't function, Ludwig, who lives near the St. Louis area, told Missouri House Children and Families Committee in late January. I lost everything from the point where I went from being a pretty decent middle-class dad to where I was eating food out of dumpsters at the Aldi. I didn't know where to turn. Now Ludwig advocates for fathers to be treated equally in the court system. He also drives for Uber in St. Louis, where he chats up with other dads, many of whom he said share stories of being raised without a father present. You've got some dads who become disengaged because they feel undervalued, Ludwig said. They feel like they're unappreciated. They feel pushed out, like their role isn't important, so why even try? Ludwig hopes legislation filed by Representative Jamie Gregg, an Ozark Republican, can help both uplift and prepare more dads who find themselves unsure how to navigate fatherhood. As he stood before his House colleagues Monday, March the 2nd, Gregg listed off example after example of statistics faced by children raised without a father. Higher levels of depression, homelessness, substance use, teen pregnancy, incarceration, and suicide. It is heartbreaking. It is devastating, Gregg said. It is an epidemic. Gregg's bill would create the Missouri Fathership Project within Missouri's Department of Social Services. It would help fund positions at statewide nonprofit and community organizations to support dads who want to reestablish and strengthen relationships with their children. These professionals would help fathers navigate the court system, job applications, or the foster system, for example, so they can be more present fathers. This will enable community organizations, nonprofits around the state to bind together and reach out and help those fathers who want to be fathers but just have too many roadblocks in the way, Gregg said. The House passed the bill on a 141-4 vote Monday night. It now heads to the state Senate. Tim McConville, the director of strategic engagement with Man Up and Go, a Christian-based nonprofit that aims to end fatherlessness around the world, is already acting in a pseudo role. McConville, who is based out of Missouri and testified in support of the bill in January, said he often gets requests from the Children's Division asking if he can help out fathers navigating relationships with their children in the foster care system. This might mean helping them keep track of court dates, find secure housing, or work through common parenting dilemmas. He also helps fathers connect with resources after they've been reunited with their kids, in the case with one of his current clients. He's a single dad taking care of his 2 kids, McConville said. That's when it gets hard, let's be honest. While the nonprofit's Fatherhood Initiative in Florida, where similar legislation was first passed in 2022, has 26 people on staff, McConville said in Missouri he's the only one doing the work locally. This legislation would allow the organization to expand how many fathers it can help by hiring more staff. A specialist hired through this program might be assigned to help a father who is struggling to comply with a court-ordered case plan, for example. The legislation makes economic sense, and it can prevent children who have access to a safe home from being traumatized by family separation, said State Representative Rachel Prouty, a Democrat from Ferguson, and it helps the whole family. To be pro-father isn't to be anti-mother, Prouty said on Monday on the House floor. It's very rare that we give some kind of dedicated attention to males or men who are out there trying to be a healthy part, not just present. An amendment introduced by Representative David Dolan, a Republican of Sikeston, was added to the bill before it passed the House. This amendment would allow any fathers participating in the project who are also complying with court orders and who make regular child support payments to apply for licenses they may have previously lost, particularly if they were recently incarcerated. This includes limited driver's license, hunting and fishing licenses, and professional and occupational licenses. Dolan, a former circuit judge, said fathers often come before his court for non-payment of child support. They would look at me and say, I'm doing the best I can, but how do you expect me to pay this support if I can't get a job, or if I can't get a job, Dolan said. State Representative Bryant Wolfen said St. Genevieve was among the 4 Republicans to vote against the bill on March the 2nd. I'm not entirely sure I'm comfortable with government trying to mold society into being better people, Wolfen told Gregg during House debate. Ultimately, at the end of the day, that's what this bill is trying to do. This article was submitted to the Springfield News-Leader by Anna Sporey from the Missouri Independent on March the 6th.
Life or death. Missouri lawmakers push to eliminate death penalty. A Missouri bill to end the death penalty is getting its first public hearing. House Bill 2153, introduced by State Representative Jim Murphy, would remove the death penalty as a sentencing option for first-degree murder and other Class A felonies. Under the bill, life in prison without the possibility of parole would become the severest punishment available. At a time when violence continues to plague our society, the state should lead by example and demonstrate that justice should not be driven by revenge. For that reason, I believe Missouri should end the death penalty. Missouri State Representative Jim Murphy and Senator Mary Elizabeth Coleman say they will join Archbishop of St. Louis Mitchell Thomas Rosansky for a public discussion at 2 p.m. on Monday, March 9th. The discussion will follow the bill's committee hearing at noon. It will take place in the fourth floor House Press Gallery at the Missouri State Capitol. Lawmakers say they plan to address moral and public policy arguments behind the legislation and highlight growing support for ending capital punishment in the Show Me State. Under current Missouri law, first-degree murder, first-degree robbery, and major drug trafficking crimes carry a sentence of either death or life in prison without parole. HB 2153 would strike the death penalty from that list entirely, leaving life imprisonment without parole as the only maximum sentence. The bill was pre-filed in December by Representative Murphy. It received its first and second readings in January and was referred to the House Corrections and Public Institutions Committee on March 3rd. Missouri is one of 27 states that still have the death penalty. The state's most recent execution came in October 2025 when Lance Shockley was put to death for the 2005 murder of Missouri State Highway Patrol Sergeant Carl Dwayne Graham Jr. in Van Buren. As of March 2026, 23 states and Washington, D.C. have abolished capital punishment, including Colorado, Illinois, and Iowa. Across the state line, Kansas still has the death penalty on the books. It was reinstated in 1994, but the state has not carried out an execution since 1965. Efforts to repeal the death penalty in the Sunflower State are also underway, with Senate Bill 245 and House Bill 2272 both under consideration. However, neither bill has seen movement since February 2025.
A mom and a nonprofit founder share concerns about the Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act. When Krista and Kevin Dahl learned they were expecting another child in 2020, they were thrilled and anxious. The couple, who lived in Nixa at the time, had a healthy boy and girl already, but recently experienced a miscarriage. Krista Dahl said she couldn't help but worry it might happen again. I loved being pregnant. I loved being a mom. I just felt like this chapter of my life is ending on such a heartbreaking, sad note after this miscarriage, and I just felt complete, Dahl said. So when we found we were pregnant again, I was ecstatic. But at the 20-week anatomy scan, the Dahls were told the baby had a bilateral renal angenesis, a condition that was not compatible with life outside the womb. The fetus would not develop kidneys. The fetus would not cycle amniotic fluid properly, which prevented her lungs from developing. A second opinion confirmed the devastating diagnosis. Dahl recalled the difficult conversations with her obstetrician. If she carried the baby to term, the baby would most likely be stillborn. Would it be better to induce early and at least have a few minutes with their baby while she is alive? In Missouri, would that be considered a late-term abortion? The doctor was very kind. I did not feel like I was being pushed, persuaded, or discouraged from whatever choice we made. But he did tell us, even back in 2020, with the laws that already on the books, he was just saying, you are considered at viability now. So if we did an induction that this would terminate your pregnancy, this would be a late-term abortion. Because of that, he explained that he would have to talk to a hospital administration to get approval to induce her. If they said no, the Dahls might have to travel to another state. And while Dahl naturally gave birth early and was able to spend 30 minutes with her baby alive, she fears new legislation making its way through Missouri State House. The Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act could take options away from other parents like her. Raised in the church. As someone who was raised in the church and had always been politically conservative and a staunch pro-lifer, Dahl said the conversations she was having and decisions she and her husband faced were overwhelming. I went from planning for a third baby to all of this in just a matter of weeks. My mind was reeling, she said. I felt like they were telling me, oh, you have to tell us how bad you want to kill your baby. And I was like, oh, I don't want that. I want her. I want to see her. I want to be with her. The experience had caused Dahl to rethink her views about abortion. This has granted me a completely different perspective and a level of sympathy and empathy for people going through these decisions. She recalled being pregnant, driving around Springfield, and seeing anti-abortion billboards. You see these billboards with these adorable little cherub faces of these sweet babies, and it's like, how could you lose me? And abortion is murder. She said, I felt like I was constantly being beat over the head by what a horrible person I was to ever have considered an abortion, even though it was to see my baby, not dispose of her. As it turned out, Dahl naturally went into labor at 36 weeks. Charlie Ann Dahl was born and died on May 15th of 2020. Charlie lived a beautiful 30 minutes surrounded by love, peace, and family, Dahl wrote in an email to the Springfield Daily Citizen. The next choice we had to make was for emergency intervention at birth or palliative care. We chose palliative care, she wrote. Therefore, instead of having our tiny daughter whisked away from us immediately when she was born and placed on multiple different supports and monitoring devices, we were able to hold her, bathe her, kiss her, get photographs, and let her be held by her siblings and grandparents. Charlie now knew only the quiet love and peace of her family, Dahl continued in that email. If it would have been possible to save her life, I would have done it. The only thing those emergency measures would have done would have prolonged her death. Dahl emailed and then later spoke with the Daily Citizen because she is among those concerned about potential legislation, the Born Alive Survivors Protection Act, which passed in Missouri House of Representatives earlier this year. The bill has moved to the Senate for consideration. About the legislation, according to reporting by the Missouri Independent, the Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act was the first bill to clear Missouri House this year. The bill opens the floor for healthcare providers to face the death penalty if they don't provide life-saving care to a baby born under an attempted abortion. The legislation could also allow lawsuits against anyone assisting an illegal medication abortion. The bill would require any healthcare providers present at the time of an unsuccessful abortion to exercise the same degree of professional care and diligence to preserve the life and health of a child and require the child be immediately transported and admitted to a hospital. A baby that makes it out of an abortive attempt gets every life-saving measure given to a child born at the same gestational period to a mother who wanted that baby, states Representative Holly Jones, a Eureka Republican, told her colleagues earlier this year. Intent means nothing when the child is outside of the womb. The Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act, sponsored by Jones and GOP State Representative Brian Seitz of Branson, has been framed by Republicans as a common-sense safeguard that must be considered with urgency following the legalization of abortion by Missouri voters in 2024. Critics have raised concern about how such a bill could affect families who choose to induce early labor following a fetal diagnosis, a procedure which falls under the definition of abortion in the medical field, and the providers caring for them. Looking back on her family's experience with baby Charlie Ann, Dahl worries how this legislation, if passed as it is currently written, would affect women and families in similar difficult situations. Even before the Born Alive bill, our OB did tell us that an induction could possibly need higher approval as it would be considered a late-term abortion. Dahl, who now lives in West Plains, hopes lawmakers will consider adding clear provisions that address pregnancies involving terminal fetal diagnoses that are not compatible with sustained life and to include clear language protecting the palliative care they are allowed during the precious 30 minutes that Charlie lived. Those were the only moments that we were able to have together, and my doctor was already concerned about perhaps inducing labor, as it would be an abortion in our case. I would be concerned with this Born Alive Survivors Protection Act, since it's redundant and more aggressive to what is already on the books, that families will lose that palliative care time, Dahl continued, because she did breathe, which we didn't even think she would be able to do that. We got to hear her cry, which we didn't think that we would be able to do. It was one tiny little cry, and then everyone left the room so we could be with her and not have to be forced into an emergent situation with lots of violent life-saving measures. Dahl said it's important for people, especially lawmakers, to have compassion for families facing those difficult decisions. We're so quick to villainize and judge and put such a slant on things and forget the fact that these are real people with real pain. These families that have real hopes and real dreams are just scared and hurting and needing support instead of condemnation. On Angel's Wings founder is also concerned. On Angel's Wings is a Missouri-based nonprofit that supports families facing terminal prenatal diagnoses, medically complex pregnancies, and infant loss. Springfield photographer Michelle Kramer founded the organization in 2013. Among the many services On Angel's Wings provides, Kramer and her team of volunteer photographers all over the state provide free photography at the hospital to families whose babies will not survive. Kramer was with the Dahls when Charlie was born and died at Mercy Hospital in 2020. She recently sent letters to both House members and senators requesting the Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act include clear language to protect medically indicated early delivery and physician-directed palliative care in cases of documented terminal fetal diagnoses. Her letter stated in part, "While we understand the bill's stated intent, we are concerned that it does not appear to include clear provisions addressing pregnancies involving terminal fetal diagnoses that are not compatible with sustained life. In cases involving conditions such as trisomy 13, trisomy 18, limb body wall syndrome, anencephaly, and other lethal anomalies, families are often advised that carrying a full term significantly increases the likelihood of stillbirth. Many parents, after extensive consultation with maternal fetal medicine specialists, elect medically indicated early induction, typically between 30 and 35 weeks, in order to increase the chance of meeting their child alive before natural death occurs. These are not situations involving elective termination for convenience or contraception. Late-term procedures in real-world medical practice overwhelmingly involves fetal anomalies or grave medical circumstances. The families we serve desperately want their children. Their decisions are rooted in love, compassion, and desire to prevent suffering, not avoidance of parenthood. However, because these medically indicated early inductions may fall within terminology commonly associated with late-term abortion, the absence of explicit clarification in the bill may create legal ambiguity. Physicians may reasonably fear criminal liability or uncertainty regarding whether comfort-focused palliative care without aggressive resuscitation will be protected when a condition is universally recognized as non-survivable. The result could be unintended harm. Doctors declining medically appropriate care, families denied the opportunity to meet their child alive, or mandatory life-saving intervention attempted despite no possibility of survival, adding trauma without changing the outcome. Families facing these diagnoses are already living through profound heartbreak. Missouri law should provide clarity that allows physicians to practice within accepted medical standards and families to make compassionate, medically informed decisions without fear of criminal consequences. Saying hello and goodbye in the same moment. In an interview with the Daily Citizen, Kramer explained how her organization often serves pregnant families who have been told the longer they carry the baby, the less likely they are to have any time with the baby while it's alive. Inducing labor early, now labeled a late-term abortion, at least gives them a chance to meet their baby alive and have a little time. We come in during those deliveries and do pictures so they have pictures with their baby actually alive. There's a huge difference between delivering a baby that's living and getting those few minutes, or that baby already is passed in the womb and you get no time. You're saying hello and goodbye in the same moment, she said. They are so grief-stricken and devastated. The Abortion Survivors Protection Act is, as it's currently written, does not make exceptions for these scenarios, Kramer said. Kramer echoes Dahl's concern that palliative care, being protected for babies born with a condition that is not survivable. The stipulation in the bill is if an abortion is attempted and then the baby is born alive, then life-saving measures must be taken by the medical staff, Kramer said. So if they elect to induce early so they can meet their baby alive, but there's no chance the baby is going to survive, and the parents have chosen a palliative care approach, are doctors now going to feel they're forced to try and save that baby regardless? Kramer said she's received one personal response from a lawmaker regarding her concerns over the bill. Representative Jeremy Dean, who represents District 132 in Springfield, wrote that he voted no on the bill when it came up for a House vote. Still, the measure passed, and it has been sent to Senate for consideration. I truly believe that this bill is a perfect example of politically motivated legislation that has the intent to spark controversy rather than to solve a legitimate issue that is faced by many constituents across our state, such as affordable and accessible health care but fully funded public schools. Dean wrote in part, and I will always reject this type of legislation as we know it will cause real harm to our communities. The Daily Citizen reached out to State Representative Seitz of Branson, one of the bill's sponsors, but did not receive a response by deadline. This article was submitted by Jackie Rewall to the Daily Citizen just earlier this morning.
From the Ozarks to Breaking Bad, Tess Harper looks back on a 40-year career. For one brief time in a dim Texas roadhouse, Robert Duvall held Tess Harper in his arms. It was 1983 on the set of Tender Mercies, the small film that would win Duvall an Academy Award and launch Harper, then a 33-year-old actress with no feature film experience, into a 40-year career alongside stars like Bryan Cranston, Tommy Lee Jones, and Beau Bridges. Today, from her home in Springfield, Harper recalls that dance and the reserved, wry co-star who changed the trajectory of her life. Harper was nominated as Golden Globe's Best Supporting Actress for her role in the film and began a distinguished career in the supporting roles for feature movies and television. Skip to 2007, she and fellow cast members shared a Screen Actors Guild Award for the Oscar-winning film No Country for Old Men, in which she played the wife of Tommy Lee Jones' character. Fans of the 2008 to 2013 dark comedy series Breaking Bad knew her as Diane, mother of Jesse Pinkman. And so it was. When Duvall died on February 15th at age 95, all the goodness that surrounded the filming of Tender Mercies came rushing back. 3 years ago, Harper left the film industry and Los Angeles and moved back to her Ozark roots in Springfield. The Mammoth Spring, Arkansas native, one of 17 in her high school class, was a product of what she wistfully describes as Southwest Missouri State University's acclaimed theater program and master instructor Howard Orms, who coached several other notable alums, including John Goodman and Kathleen Turner. Here, she finds herself somewhere between a native and an observant newcomer. She nurtures a deep well of memories and close friends with shared histories. Teen years working as seasonal street performers for the Lil Abner Theme Park, Dogpatch USA, in Arkansas and Silver Dollar City. College years memorizing scripts and performing at the university's 10th theater. She's grateful to find the nonprofit, community-supported art house Moxie Cinema, the neighborhood Steak and Shake, and La Hacienda. She knows her neighbors' names and their dogs. She's a book reader, grows herbs, Roma tomatoes and beans, and recycles her trash. In not so tender terms, she can be downright bold as brass. Harper criticizes the federal dismantling of public broadcasting's parent corporation. To fight back, she lends her name and financial support to public radio and TV stations KSMU and Ozarks Public Television. I couldn't function without NPR. Defund PBS? She shoots a look that says, "Get real." That's basic fundamentals for preschool, right there. She gripes about speed demons in the neighborhood and restaurants closed on Monday. If they would just give me a newspaper so I knew what was playing at the theater, she moans. After 4 decades in LA, she saw friends grow older and, like Harper, found an industry less hospitable to age. She grew uneasy about California's endangered environment, from water shortages to the state's wildfires. The problem is, we all liked living in LA and California. We loved it to death. 3 years ago, she decided to come home, closer to friends and family, but did not leave behind her unease about the political climate. Politics. Her azure eyes narrow and the hands, always gesturing, stop midair. I've been very unhappy for a few years because we're in a bizarre, horrible state. In calmer moments, Harper, at 75, surrounds herself with career memorabilia from Tender Mercies and Breaking Bad. She dotes on her Chihuahua mix, Jill. There used to be a Jack. She likes being near nieces in Mammoth Spring and Salem. She was married and divorced in the early 70s. And she alternately entertains and endures loving digs from the bossy sister, who comes up from Tulsa for visits and warns visitors that Tess will talk all day if you let her. In self-defense, Harper considers the wealth of film experiences and friendships that span over 40 years and throws up her hands. I'm a storyteller. Harper graduated from SMS in 1972 and moved to Dallas. It had a thriving theater community, workshops, and she heard that major companies filmed their commercials there. She was cast in one corporation's training films for beginning desktop computer users because she could type fast. By chance, a casting director with Tender Mercies was traveling through Dallas, caught some of Harper's work, and saw possibilities. Director Bruce Beresford soon agreed, but the producers were skeptical. They needed a, quote, name actress opposite Duvall. There was a big deal about whether I should have that job or not, she says. Director Beresford prevailed. I was told later by him, you walked into that room, and before you opened your mouth, it was like I had envisioned her. With the producers breathing down his neck, she says, Beresford needed Duvall's blessing. He said, you'll do. Bobby's not big on praise, you know, Harper says. He doesn't want anyone to get a big head. There seemed to be little chance of that. The $5 million Tender Mercies was released with half-hearted marketing and was considered a box office flop, grossing about $8.44 million. Universal Pictures released the $25 million to $37 million, much ballyhooed remake of Scarface the same year. It reportedly grossed $66 million. I bet more people saw Tender Mercies on airplanes than they saw in the movie houses, she said, wrinkling her brow. Well, Duvall did win the Oscar for it, but Duvall was an actor's actor. Most of the people know, not necessarily, it was Robert Duvall, but they know the character he played. Harper shifts her thought to his later legendary roles. The Godfather, she says, and I love the smell of napalm in the morning, Duvall's iconic line from Apocalypse Now. On camera and off, the veteran Duvall was the same person, she says, wise and as understated as many of the characters he played. He's not going to hug you, he's not that kind of guy, Harper says. Maybe if you were his drinking buddy or something, but I mean, he was always kind of a quiet man, but a kind man. Then again, she says, he could be like, you might want to back off a step or two. I never wanted to get him mad. She recalls he was an avid dancer in later years. Picture Robert Duvall doing the Argentine tango. One time in LA, she recalls, he saw me in a restaurant and he said, hey Harper, I'm into tango. I've got a partner on each coast. Duvall's Academy Award for Tender Mercies, a year after its release, earned the acclaim that critics and Harper felt the film deserved. It's actually a masterpiece, she says. A simple story, but what it was to actors and what it was to writers is an amazing product from there. And it's just Horton Foote bless. The barren range country of southern Texas is the backdrop for a subtle story of two people alone in the world, as Harper describes it. Duvall is an alcoholic, washed-up country singer with an ex-wife and daughter. Harper, married at 16, a mother at 17, widowed at 18 when her husband dies in Vietnam. She hires the down-and-out stranger to help her with motel and chores, and a tentative trust brings them together. Their dance in the noisy roadhouse is our glory moment, Harper says. That night, Duvall's Max Sledge sings in public for the first time since he quit drinking. The two exchange intimate, knowing smiles. They're joyful, Harper says, and these are not joyful people. These are people who saved each other. Following that debut role, Harper was nominated for Best Supporting Actress in the 1986 film Crimes of the Heart, acting alongside veterans Jessica Lange, Sissy Spacek, and Diane Keaton. I was thrilled to get it because, those three women, they had at least 1, 2, maybe 3 or 4 Oscars in there. I came in to read the script, and there's like Jessie, Sissy, and Diane, and an incredibly brilliant mind. Keaton's death in October 2025 brought back memories of antics on and off the set. The smile fades. Oh my God, I just never thought she'd get old. I never thought any of us would get that old. Old no longer means exit. Audiences today see more actresses past their 70s in complex, contemporary roles for film and television. Harper admires the resurgence of veterans like June Squibb, who was 94 when she played Thelma. Kathy Bates, 77, returned in Matlock. Meryl Streep, 76, has been cast to play singer Joni Mitchell in her later years. Harper maintains it's still a young person's game. I'm in an industry where old ladies aren't that prevalent. She took a swipe at the industry's ageism in a 2023 film. She and adult contemporaries Morgan Fairchild and Mariette Hartley of soap opera fame play themselves during an audition. A 20-something production assistant studies the list of actresses on her clipboard, mispronounces their names, and is clueless about their legendary status. True to life in 2026, Harper sighs. That's acting in LA as we get older. She wants none of it and is wise to those actors who take on new roles only to confront a new hurdle. They struggle to memorize lines like they used to. Today, an actor's friend is the hidden earpiece. Now I know about everybody my age is in the business has a walkie-on. If you have your memory issues, that's how they do it. And then there's Breaking Bad. Oh my gosh, Breaking Bad, Harper clutches her chest. The critically acclaimed drug crime drama follows the transformation of high school chemistry teacher Walter White, Bryan Cranston, into a meth kingpin. Harper plays Diane, mother of drug dealer and meth cook Jesse Pinkman. The series ran for 5 seasons on AMC from 2008 to 2013 and returned in 2019 in El Camino, a Breaking Bad movie. Who knew it would be an explosion? Harper was dubious when she met series creator Vince Gilligan in Albuquerque to watch an early rough cut. I did not find that stuff funny. She had experienced what drug addiction does to a family. So we sat down there, we watched, and laughed, and I go, oh, it's satire. It's funny, but it's not funny. Now I get it. I've never worked with a better group of people in my life, Harper says, from the crew to lead actors. Bryan Cranston's always been there, doing a good job no matter what, and he transcends himself in this and becomes a cultural icon. The series was iconic for its audience, too. I was going through the airport at Las Vegas, and this kid keeps running behind me, screaming, Mrs. Pinkman, Mrs. Pinkman. I said, no. He goes, Breaking Bad. Harper continued working in film and television through 2023, including that year's release of Our, almost completely true, Love Story, and Good Side of Bad. And there was that 2009 cameo with George Wendt, Cheers, and Macaulay Culkin, and Michael Jackson's music video, Black or White. Here, Harper imitates a shy-like Jackson approaching her in his wispy falsetto. Hi, bless his heart. Harper's many film and TV roles no doubt left lasting impressions on audiences, but quietly and behind the scenes, she left a lasting imprint on fellow actors. She is credited with having played a pivotal role in changing how actors working abroad are paid and insured today. Global Rule 1 in 2022 resulted after 4 years of her work as chair of the Screen Actors Guild Global Rule 1 Committee. She championed a mandate that required producers filming overseas to provide actors with union protections or contributions to their pension and health plans. I was there for 4 years, and I got that one thing done by recruiting people and thinking, this is really important. I did something. I didn't just fill a chair. Harper insists her chair is in the audience. She is a keen observer and speaks her mind. She hasn't talked to theater classes lately, but if they asked, she could tell them a love story. The thing is, I fell in love with the words, Harper says. God knows I lived without getting good paychecks from it for years, but I had to do it whether you paid me or not, whether I had to go and find an independent group that's going to put something together, because I worked with a lot of those little theaters. It kept my soul going, but I didn't expect the career I had. For Tess Harper, it took the disciplined training she got in Springfield, seasons under the tent, a lucky break, and a green light from Robert Duvall, who told her simply, "You'll do."
Springfield Council to refer fixes to board appointments to committees. In response to a series of controversies regarding Springfield City boards and commissions in the past few weeks, Springfield City Council will vote on sending several related issues to committee at its Monday, March 9th meeting. From sales tax boards to planning and zoning, here's what the council will take on Monday night. Citizens Advisory Board announced appointments. In response to a letter sent to the council highlighting ways the establishment and subsequent appointments to the city's Citizens Advisory Board violated the city charter, City Attorney Jordan Paul acknowledges the conflict, which he described as an oversight, and presented a resolution that would fix the original mistakes that a March 2 council workshop. CAB, the Citizens Advisory Board, oversees and provides council recommendations for how the 1/2 cent portion of the 3/4 cent Spring Forward Springfield sales tax approved by voters in November 2024 should be used. Violation of the charter, which acts as the city's constitution, includes allowing non-city residents to serve on the board, allowing the board to operate with fewer members than the charter requires, and changing how officers are selected. Mayor Jeff Schrag plans to refer a resolution adjusting the CAB to the Plans and Policies Committee for review. In his referral, he is suggesting 2 adjustments to what was originally proposed by the attorney. One of those is changing the number of out-of-town residents who could be allowed to serve on the board in a non-voting capacity from 2 to 3. In the referral, Schrag notes that this is due to one of the existing CAB members moving outside the city limits and desire to preserve the continuity of service. He also argues that 3 non-voting members would allow terms to be evenly staggered, since there would be 9 voting members as well. The city's chief spokesperson, Cora Scott, confirmed to the News-Leader that Schrag was referring to board member Andy Peebles, in addition to the 2 members, Aaron D'Anastasio and Christina Engel, who already lived outside of the city at the time of appointment. In his presentation to council, Paul said that, as an option, out-of-town members would be allowed to serve without voting, counting toward a quorum or being eligible for an officer position. While most council members said input from non-resident was valuable for recommending body, Councilwoman Monica Horton said at the March 2 workshop, this felt like towing the line of what the charter requires. She suggested that, due to previous mistakes, the CAB should only include city residents. Schrag also is proposing to add specific language to the new resolution, as Councilman Brandon Jensen had also suggested, to ensure 3 vacancies created by fixing charter violations are filled by the Committee of the Whole. as was the case when the original board was put together. By default, city board and commission appointments are selected by the Public Involvement Committee. The referral notes after mistakes are corrected. Future appointments would be determined by the regular committee. At the March 2 workshop, Paul recommended that the CAB pause its work until the new resolution is adopted and all proper members are seated. He has argued that previous recommendations made by the CAB were still valid and legally sound. In addition to sending the CAB specific resolution to committee, Schrag will also refer a more comprehensive board and commission alignment audit to the Plans and Policies Committee. This is a recommendation from the city attorney, who mentioned during his review of the CAB at least one more board was found to be in conflict with the charter. The referral directs the city clerk to conduct the audit, present it to the committee, and then tasks the committee with determining whether any corrective steps should be recommended. While the audit does not have a set timeline, Schrag's referral notes committee review and any necessary legislative action should take place within the calendar year. The Plans and Policies Committee is chaired by Councilman Abe McGull and includes council members Callie Carroll, Heather Hardinger, and Craig Hosmer. Planning and Zoning Questionnaire. In February, Council also received a letter from several local residents questioning recent appointments to the City Planning and Zoning Commission. With commissioners typically friendly to the neighborhood interests replaced by those connected to local development interests, the letter raised concerns about a lack of balanced representation on the commission. Before appointing the new commissioners at the start of the new year, Jensen, who served on the Public Involvement Committee, had indicated a desire to create a P&Z questionnaire for candidates to better gauge their qualification for the board. Now the councilman is sponsoring a referral to create such a questionnaire. Jensen will present a referral to the Public Involvement Committee on Monday, directing the committee to create a list of questions asked of city commissions and those applying for the commission. The matter is particularly pertinent as the city's revamped land use development code delegates more authority to P&Z. Alongside his referral, Jensen included example questionnaires used in Amherst, Massachusetts, and Ouray County, Colorado. Some example questions pertain to applicants' thoughts on strict versus flexible regulations, considerations for the role and purpose of a master plan, and opinions on the use of waivers and exceptions. Hotel of Terror eminent domain proceedings. After the owners of Hotel of Terror, the longtime Springfield haunted attraction, collected enough signatures to challenge the council's decision to seize the property through eminent domain, the elected officials will be faced with a decision. They can decide to repeal their decision or send the question to ballot in August. On Monday night, Council will review both options through two separate ordinances. The Council will hold a public hearing but is not expected to vote on the matter until its meeting on March 23rd to allow for two readings. The Council, though of a different makeup, has already done this once before in 2023, when eminent domain for the Hotel of Terror was first initiated. That time, in response to the successful referendum petition, Council voted to repeal its decision and go back to the negotiating table. How you can attend the meeting. Springfield Council meetings take place every other Monday starting at 6:30 at the Springfield Regional Police and Fire Training Center at 2620 West Battlefield Road. Meetings are also live streamed on the city's Facebook page and www.cityview.springfieldmo.gov. The full agenda for this and all public meetings can be found on the city's website. This article was submitted to the Springfield News-Leader yesterday by Marta Mice.
Games still active, SPD still enforcing in Springfield stores. Video lottery terminals are still a familiar sight in many Springfield convenience stores. That's notable after a February 13th ruling by U.S. District Judge John Ross that declared the machines meet the statutory definition of gambling devices under Missouri law and are therefore illegal when played outside of a licensed casino. The partial declaratory judgment in the civil suit of TNT Amusements, Inc. versus Torch Electronics, LLC, the manufacturer of the machines in question, found that what the manufacturer describes as no chance or skill games are in fact gambling machines because players risk something of value on the outcome of a contest of chance. The game's use of a preview feature that allows features to see outcomes in advance was found to be immaterial to their status as gambling devices. At Wicked Superstore at 425 East Kearney Street, manager Reuben Boone was asked in a phone call March 4th if the judge's decision would have any impact on Wicked's business plan or if the machines would remain in place. "I have no idea," Boone said. "I haven't heard anything." But according to Boone, the machines remain popular among customers. "We just got new machines in 2 weeks ago," he said, noting those were replacement machines. Boone said that he was reluctant to say much more about the machines because he is aware that there is some kind of debate going on with them. "There's a lot of legal jargon with how they have the games here," he said. The legal status of these games, variously dubbed gray market slot machines, video lottery terminals, and the like, remains in debate in Springfield across Missouri. In February 2024, Springfield City Council unanimously passed a bill banning the devices. Penalties set up by the council were steep. Under the ordinance, violating businesses are fined $500 per machine for a first offense and $1,000 per machine for a second offense. A third offense calls for a fine of $1,000 per machine, plus a minimum jail sentence of 30 days, and the court is restricted by the ordinance from suspending this minimum sentence, according to 2024 Springfield Business Journal coverage of the council action. Rapid Roberts, Inc. Chief Operating Officer Todd Wilson responded March 5th to an email query about the company's current business plan, where the terminals are concerned following the federal judge's ruling. 4 of the company's stores were in the first wave of businesses to be cited after council took action to ban them. "There is not much to report on pertaining to Rapid Roberts," Wilson said. "The case you are referring to was a civil lawsuit between 2 competitors in the amusement device industry, and we are not a party to that case." In October 2025, a Springfield Police Department spokesperson said in an interview that in order to charge a business with a second or third offense, there must be a prior conviction, and none of those pending prosecutions on citations have yet reached the point of final convictions. Therefore, no one has been eligible to be charged as a prior offender. That remains true. On February 19th, city spokesperson Cora Scott said via email that SPD and the city prosecutor's office will continue with enforcement as required by city ordinance. SPD issued 172 citations in 2024 and more than 200 in 2025, according to past reporting. The city's prosecutor's office told SBJ on March 4th that prosecutors are not able to comment on cases in progress. The machine's continued operation may be due to a waiting game as a bill to legalize their operation wends its way through the Missouri legislature. Legislation creating a state-run video lottery system to replace the games now in use passed the Missouri House of Representatives February 18th by a 1-vote margin, according to reporting by the Missouri Independent. Under the legislation, the Missouri Lottery would have the authority to license games for installation in retail locations in the state, and the games would be required to pay out at least 80% of the money wagered. About a third of the profits would be dedicated to state education programs, the Independent reported. Additionally, there would be a 3% tax on profits from the games to aid local governments. The Senate had its second reading of the bill on February 2026 and referred the legislation to the Select Committee on Gaming, according to the legislative record.
Wednesday, the public is invited to attend Coffee with the Chief. Springfield Police Chief Paul Williams will host Coffee with the Chief on Wednesday, March the 11th from 7 to 8:30 a.m. at the Classic Rock Cafe. The event is designed to encourage open conversation between the public and Williams. Residents are invited to ask questions and learn more about the Springfield Police Department is doing in the community. Attendees may stop by briefly or stay for the full event. The event is free, though attendees will be responsible for the cost of any food or drinks they choose to purchase. No purchase is required, but organizers encourage visitors to support the local business. Thank you for listening to the Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service. Come by and see us in person with daily deals at 2713 North Kansas Expressway in Springfield, Missouri. Veterans receive a 25% discount every day, providing significant savings as a token of appreciation for their service. Additionally, the store features a weekly clothing sale where all clothing items are available at 50% off every Wednesday. Seniors age 55 and older will benefit from a 25% discount every Tuesday, making shopping more affordable for the senior community. The Blind Community Thrift Store is a spacious 17,000 square foot thrift store located in Springfield, Missouri. It holds the distinction of being the first retail store worldwide to incorporate NaviLens technology, which significantly enhances accessibility for the blind, visually impaired, and non-English speaking individuals. This innovative system enables customers to navigate the shop with minimal assistance, fostering independence and confidence. The store operates as a nonprofit organization dedicated to generating funds that support the provision of adaptive technology and training for the blind and visually impaired community, often at little or no cost. Visitors can learn about the organization and access its services by visiting the store in person at 2713 North Kansas Expressway, Springfield, Missouri, or by exploring the website at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The website offers comprehensive information about the store's mission, services, and opportunities for community involvement, as well as details about the free store available to residents in the Springfield area.
Six Flags St. Louis Worlds of Fun sold to Missouri company. Six Flags is selling two of its Missouri theme parks, Six Flags St. Louis and Worlds of Fun in Kansas City. The North Carolina-based company announced in a news release on March 5th that it has agreed to sell 7 of its parks to EPR Properties for $331 million. Consistent with our strategy, this divestiture enables us to concentrate our capital, leadership, and operational focus on the properties that we believe generate the strongest returns and offer the greatest long-term upside, Six Flags President and CEO John Riley said in a statement. EPR Properties is a Kansas City-based real estate investment trust that owns numerous parks and attractions around the U.S. and Canada. Its holdings include movie theaters, casinos, ski resorts, and museums. Six Flags has operated 6 parks the EPR Properties owned since 2018. Missouri residents may also know EPR Properties as the owner of City Museum in St. Louis. Six Flags says the sale is a move to strengthen its foundation, sharpen its focus, and support the company's long-term growth. The company has struggled to gain its financial footing since merging with Cedar Fair in 2024. This sale will leave 34 parks under the Six Flags flagship. The company says the move will put it in its best position yet to invest in new rides and attractions, improve infrastructure, and invest in new shows at its remaining parks. This next chapter isn't just about creating a more focused company, it is about unlocking our full potential and building a stronger Six Flags for our guests, our team members, and our communities, Six Flags posted on its official blog. None of the parks are expected to close as a result of the sale. The 7 parks are expected to transition to the Enchanted Parks brand, but will continue using the Six Flags branding through 2026. We understand how meaningful these parks are to the communities they serve and to the guests who have grown up visiting them, Six Flags said. We are confident in the future of these parks under the care of EPR and its operating partners who have strong experience managing parks of this scale. Aside from Worlds of Fun and Six Flags St. Louis, 5 other parks were sold off, including Michigan's Adventure in Grand Rapids, Schlitterbahn Water Park Galveston in Texas, Valley Fair in Minneapolis, Six Flags Great Escape in Queensbury, New York, and Six Flags La Ronde in Montreal.
And on this day in history, exactly 1 year ago today, a colossal squid was captured on camera in the deep sea for the very first time. On this day in 2025, a colossal squid, and I will not even attempt to pronounce the appropriate name, was filmed swimming in its natural habitat for the first time. When scientists at the Schmidt Ocean Institute spotted the squid using a remotely operated submersible, they initially did not know what they were looking at. After reaching out to other institutions, they confirmed that they had captured the first footage of this elusive deep-sea dweller in its natural habitat. Others had been seen either dead or ensnared by fishing boats. Also on this day, for some of you older folks, George Burns died at the age of 100. Barbie, a toy doll that became an international sensation despite criticism, mainly from mothers who criticized the doll for having too much of a figure, was introduced by Mattel. In 1934, Yuri Gagarin, who in 1961 became the first man to travel space, was born in Russia. In 1916, Pancho Villa's men killed more than a dozen in a raid on Columbus, New Mexico. Though U.S. President Woodrow Wilson sent an expedition to the area, Villa evaded capture. And in 1796, for you really old folks, Napoleon Bonaparte married Marie Josephine Rose, and a long French name, better known as Empress Josephine. And in 432 BCE, the Parthenon was consecrated in Athens, Greece. A more sober event in 1933, Adolf Hitler, on this day in 1933, soon after Adolf Hitler became chancellor, the first concentration camp in Germany opened at Dachau, where at least 32,000 people would die from disease, malnutrition, physical oppression, and execution. NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter entered Mars orbit and began searching for signs of water on that planet. And for today's holidays, what we need to celebrate today is Amerigo Vespucci Day. It's annually observed on March the 9th. Amerigo Vespucci Day was proclaimed by Governor Nelson Rockefeller of New York on March 2nd, 1959, and was designated to take place on Amerigo Vespucci's birthday on March 9th. Rockefeller said that the day was appropriate because Vespucci had continents named after him, was one of the first Europeans to arrive in the Western Hemisphere, was one of the great Italian mariners of the Age of Discovery, and opened up a new world and a new era of freedom. Rockefeller went on to say that the spirit of Vespucci had a certain appeal at a time when many challenges were currently being faced. He trumpeted Vespucci as someone everyone could have pride in, no matter what their background was. He called upon the people of New York to participate in all appropriate observations of the occasion. Although March 9th is both Vespucci's birthday and the day on which Rockefeller proclaimed the celebration to take place, some have suggested that Amerigo Vespucci Day should take place on the same as Columbus Day, replacing that holiday. Amerigo Vespucci, a navigator and explorer, was born on March 9th, 1451, or some believe 1454, in Florence, Italy. He grew up in a cultured family that was friends with the Medici family, the family that ruled Italy in the 1400s into the 1700s. Vespucci's uncle, an ambassador to Florence under King Louis XI of France, sent him on a diplomatic mission to Paris. It was probably that trip that germinated the hunger for travel and exploration for the young Vespucci. Before taking to the seas, however, Vespucci held many other jobs. He was in business and worked for the Medici family. In the late 1490s, he worked with merchants and supplied Christopher Columbus on his voyages. It is believed that Vespucci met Columbus in 1496 in Seville, which further interested him in exploration. Some believe Amerigo Vespucci took his first voyage in late May 1497. Letters Vespucci may or may not have written are the source for this, and they are often seen as being manipulated or forgeries. They claim he sailed through the West Indies and then made it to mainland Central America in about 5 weeks. If true, this means Vespucci discovered Venezuela before Columbus arrived there. It is certain that Vespucci set sail in May of 1499 on behalf of Spain, navigating for Commander Alonso de Ojeda. They first landed in present-day Guyana. It is believed that Vespucci then ventured on his own to explore the coast of Brazil, possibly discovering the mouth of the Amazon River and maybe making it as far as Cape of St. Augustine. At this time, he thought he had traveled along the coast of eastern peninsula of Asia. Upon returning home, he wanted to proceed with another expedition, but Spain did not want to sponsor another journey for him. Vespucci's third voyage, or second if the first did not take place, was his most successful and consequential. He departed Lisbon, Portugal on May 14, 1501, setting sail on behalf of King Manuel I. He didn't start the voyage as commander, but later Portuguese officers asked him to take charge. He obliged. After crossing the ocean, their ships sailed along the coast of South America to Cape São Roque, and it is not known exactly how far they went, but they could have gone as far as Patagonia. On their southern journey, they discovered what a present-day Rio de Janeiro and Rio de Plata. Vespucci returned to Lisbon on July 22, 1502, no longer believing he had just been in Asia, but in a new continent instead. He called it the New World. Scholars at that time also believed he was correct in his assessment. Many believed he took one more expedition, but it cannot be confirmed. On this trip, he is thought to have left Portugal with Gonzalo Coelho on June 10th, 1503, to head to Brazil. Not much was found on this voyage as it was aborted. There is a wide consensus that if he did take this voyage, it was his last. There is no definitive evidence that he went on any more voyages. He became a citizen of Spain in 1505 and was awarded the office of Master Navigator of Spain in 1508. With this title, he recruited and trained other navigators, examined the licenses of those navigating ships, gathered data on New World explorations, and used this information to prepare an official map of newly discovered lands. He died of malaria on February 22nd in 1512 while in Seville, Spain. He did live long enough to see his name reach some lasting significance. In 1507, scholars in Saint de la Voseg in northern France were working on a geography book entitled Cosmographie Introductio, which included large cutout maps to be used to create globes. One of its authors, Martin Walsimuller, had the idea to label the new Brazilian section as America, a feminine version of Amerigo, in honor of the first European to discover it. In 1538, mapmaker Gerardus Mercator took a map marking America on both the northern and southern continents of the Western Hemisphere. Although not all of the territory had been discovered by Amerigo Vespucci, it has since had his namesake. It only makes sense that a man who has two continents named after him and who brought the awareness of the new lands to his mother continent would have a day celebrating. How to celebrate today? Besides actually taking a voyage to new lands, the best way to celebrate is to study maps. The maps from the Cosmography Introductio, the first to bear the name America, may be a good place to start. Today may also be a good day to learn about the geography and history of some of the places that Vespucci went to. Learning about Vespucci and his travels by reading a book is another great way to spend the day.
A new bipartisan bill that would let colleges pool and sell sports media rights to boost revenue is on its way. 2 U.S. senators are teaming up to tackle what they call a growing financial crisis in college sports. Senator Eric Schmitt and Senator Maria Cantwell have released a bipartisan discussion draft of the College Sports Competitiveness Act. The bill is set to be introduced in the U.S. Senate the week of March 9th. The legislation would expand the Sports Broadcasting Act of 1961 to college sports. It creates a new antitrust exemption that allows colleges and conferences to collectively negotiate and sell their media rights, something currently barred under federal antitrust law. Participation would be voluntary. Schools and conferences could choose to pool their media rights with the goal of generating significantly more revenue across college athletics. If passed, the bill would unlock collective media deals with the potential to generate billions in new revenue, guarantee every school receives more than it did in the 2024-25 academic year, create a 14-member oversight board representing high-revenue institutions, athletes, media experts, and academic institutions, protect women's and Olympic sports by requiring schools to maintain scholarship and roster levels from the 2023-24 academic year, ensure local broadcast access, requiring at least one free over-the-air option for fans in a team's home market, and allow out-of-market fans to watch their team from anywhere. Schmidt says college football generates twice the national viewership of the NBA, 3.7 billion viewer hours compared to the NBA's 2 billion, yet brings in half the media rights revenue, 3.8 billion versus the NBA's 6.8 billion. The gap, he argues, is unsustainable. Since 2020, college sports have lost hundreds of roster spots for women's and Olympic sports programs, according to the senators. Schmidt notes that more cuts are coming unless the revenue equation changes, including the elimination of 40 Olympic sports programs across NCAA Division I in recent years. Even schools in the largest conferences are running multi-million-dollar deficits year after year just to stay competitive, he says. Colleges, large and small, have reached a breaking point. The current environment of runaway NIL deals, facility arms races, and skyrocketing coaching contracts has put pressure on the entire system, Schmidt says. He indicates that if Congress does not act, the damage could be irreparable. Allowing conferences and universities to voluntarily pool and sell their media rights together can unlock new revenue streams while preserving the broad-based athletic programs that make college sports the institution it is today, Schmidt adds. Nobody will get everything they want, but everyone will continue to get to enjoy college sports for generations to come if Congress acts, he concludes. With women's sports, Olympic sports, and other sports losing scholarships and roster slots every year, it is time to reverse the damage, Senator Cantwell notes. Cantwell says the bill would generate new revenue from sports viewing. Money, she argues, should go directly towards protecting these programs. Fans should not have to pay extra money to watch their home teams play on TV, she concludes. The senators described this as a first step in a broader legislative conversation. They say the plan continued stakeholder engagement and bipartisan Senate collaboration before a final version of the bill is introduced.
This article was just submitted 5 hours ago by Harrison Keegan to the Springfield Daily Citizen. Independence police search for suspect in the killing of an MSU freshman. A man has been charged with the murder of the death of an MSU freshman, Elijah Murray, who was fatally shot near her native Kansas City over the Thanksgiving break. Eric R. Phillips II is charged with first-degree murder, armed criminal action, and abandonment of a corpse in a case that was unsealed in late February. The Independence Police Department is asking anyone with information on Phillips' whereabouts to contact KC Crime Stoppers at 816-474-8477. Now from the Daily Citizen, submitted by David Stouffer just yesterday. Mary Beth O'Reilly, nurse, wife, mother of 3 sons, tenacious advocate for children, and a philanthropist with a sharp mind and a soft heart, died Saturday, March the 7th, in her home in Florida. She was 83. Her husband, Charlie O'Reilly, and sons and daughters-in-law, Pat and Shannon O'Reilly, Tim and Brooke O'Reilly, and Ryan and Brandy O'Reilly, issued the following statement upon her passing. The family of Mary Beth O'Reilly is deeply saddened to share the news of her passing. Mary Beth was a devoted wife, mother, and friend whose kindness, strength, and compassion touched the lives of so many people. She was the heart of our family, a source of unwavering love, encouragement, and guidance through our lives. The loss we feel is profound and deeply personal. She has left a lasting impression on all of us, including her extended family and 9 grandchildren. In lieu of flowers, donations can be made to the Breast Cancer Foundation of the Ozarks. Funeral services are set for March 28th at 10:30 at Elizabeth Ann Seton Catholic Church, 2200 West Republic Road. I think you need to have a vision. You need to have a plan. You need to work hard, Mary Beth once told an interviewer with the Springfield Business Journal. I think you have to be able to put all those things into action if you really want to do something. Mary Beth really wanted to do something, and she accomplished most of what she set her mind to do. She is perhaps the best known as the founder of the Breast Cancer Foundation of the Ozarks, but she was active in many other civic organizations and nonprofits, including serving as chair of the Community Foundation of the Ozarks and the board of Missouri Health Foundation. Many other accolades. She was named 2012 Springfieldian by the Springfield Area Chamber of Commerce. It came as quite a surprise, as she believed the award that night was going to her close friend Virginia Fry, who passed away in 2018. As a registered nurse, Mary Beth worked at St. John's Hospital, now Mercy Springfield, and is credited with developing what is now the Mercy On-Call program, which is a free 24/7 service that provides callers with an immediate contact, after-hours care, medication advice, and ER recommendations. Charlie and Mary Beth Murney O'Reilly were married April 24th, 1965, at Immaculate Conception Catholic Church in Springfield. She supported Charlie in the family business, O'Reilly Auto Parts, long before the company went public. As they worked to make ends meet, she even did runs in an old station wagon to ferry auto parts between Joplin and Springfield. We really had very little, which is people see us as we are today, and they didn't know that part of it. She said in her 2016 interview with the SBJ. Mary Beth was a breast cancer survivor and founded BCFO in 1999 after a young friend, Kristen Hardy, O'Brien Hardy died from breast cancer at the age of 31. BCFO was initially a one-woman show as Mary Beth personally visited every woman in need. She established the nonprofit, organized a board of directors, and raised money. Organization assists people with breast cancer and their families, providing support for expenses that are not often covered by insurance. BCFO serves as an advocate and promotes awareness, as well as providing access to free mammograms and other support for a diagnosis and treatment of breast cancer. It serves southwest Missouri as well as parts of Arkansas, Oklahoma, and Kansas. Joe Deos, CEO of Breast Cancer Foundation of Ozarks, released a statement. Today is a sad day for everyone whose life has been touched by Mary Beth O'Reilly through BCFO. She brought compassion to families in their most difficult moments, which was direct in her leadership and never lost sight of her mission. Mary Beth turned her own personal battle with breast cancer into life-changing support for families she would never meet. Because of her vision and determination, that impact will continue for generations. O'Reilly received numerous awards and honors throughout her life for her advocacy and leadership through countless philanthropic efforts. Those closest to her say that while the recognition meant a good deal, nothing was more important to her than spending time with her family and helping people face medical crises. The O'Reilly family expressed gratitude for the outpouring of support they have received. We are grateful for the support as we mourn her passing and celebrate the life of someone who meant so much to us and to so many others. We are comforted by the thought that one day we will meet again. This article was submitted by David Stoffler to the Daily Citizen just earlier today.
Greene County marks opening of Traveling American Revolution exhibit. History buffs, veterans, folks in colonial garb, and those wanting to celebrate America gathered Sunday, March 8th, to mark the local opening of a traveling exhibit on the American Revolution. The welcoming of the national exhibit marks the first of many events planned for the year to celebrate 250 years since the signing of the Declaration of Independence. The exhibit, dubbed the American Revolution Experience, is a collaborative project between the American Battlefield Trust and the Daughters of the American Revolution. The exhibit includes interactive displays and placards retelling stories of those who played a role in the making of America. The opening ceremony Sunday at the Greene County Courthouse included remarks from several speakers, including a keynote by Renee Pace, chair of the America 250 Missouri Commission and Curator General for the DAR. She spoke of the pursuit of happiness codified in the Declaration of Independence, which she said arises when society achieves a kind of harmony with the government's authority coming from those it governs. The pursuit of happiness is not a legal guarantee that one will obtain happiness. It is instead an articulation of the idea that as humans we were created to live at liberty with the inalienable right to engage in the pursuit, Pace said. To pursue something is not simply to wish for it. It is not to admire it from a distance or speak about it in comfortable moments. Pursuit means movements. It means commitment. It means sacrifice. The question each of us must ask is simple. What are we pursuing? And perhaps even more importantly, what is it we are willing to sacrifice for it? The ceremony also featured Peyton Rice and his father Cricket Rice, both members of the Ponca, Sac, and Fox tribes. Peyton Rice performed the grass dance in full regalia while his father vocalized and instrumentalized on a drum. At the event, Jill Creason, regent of the Rachel Donaldson chapter of DAR, presented the DAR America 250 Commendation Award to Presiding Commissioner Bob Dixon for extraordinary efforts to honor American patriots who achieved independence and raise awareness of America's 250th anniversary. The exhibit will remain on display and open to the public free of charge on weekdays from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. through March 17th. It can be viewed at the Greene County Historic Courthouse Rotunda at 940 North Boonville Avenue. The American Revolution Experience exhibit features 12 banners and 3 interactive kiosks that use storytelling, illustrations, technology, artifacts, and primary accounts to share the experiences of ordinary people, women, African Americans, Native Americans, and soldiers during the Revolution. Rachel Donaldson said DAR volunteers will be available each day to assist visitors and help those interested in learning if they have a Revolutionary War ancestor.
Multiple fire districts battle ablaze at the Bolivar repair shop. In Bolivar, a repair shop was fully engulfed in flames early on Sunday, March the 8th. The Central Polk County Fire Protection District tells Ozarks First that crews responded to Bear and Son Automotive Repair at 5550 South Scenic Avenue in Bolivar around 3:45. The district says the owner lives on the property and heard some noise outside and came out of their residence to find the shop on fire. We are sorry for the business owner's loss, the district said. We want to help and support our community and help him in any way we can. There were no reported injuries during the accident. During the incident, Central Polk County states the Bolivar City Fire Department, Morrisville Fire Protection District, Pleasant Hope Fire Protection District, Dungan Rural Fire Department, Prairie Grove Rural Fire Department, Ebenezer Fire Protection District, Polk County Central Dispatch, Polk County Emergency Management, Polk County Sheriff's Office, and Missouri Division of Fire Safety aided in the incident. This incident remains under investigation. Also, just in the news reported on March 6th in the Daily Citizen, 1 dead and 2 injured in Friday morning crash in Christian County. 1 person was killed and 2 others injured in an early Friday crash on Highway 65 in Christian County. The single vehicle crash, which happened 1 mile south of Saddlebrook, killed a 27-year-old female occupant, according to a Missouri State Highway Patrol crash report. The 29-year-old male driver was moderately injured, and a 4-year-old girl suffered minor injuries. Both were transported to Cox Medical Center. Traveling in a 2001 GMC Yukon, the driver swerved off the right side of the highway to avoid a collision with a slow-moving vehicle. According to the report, the Yukon struck a rock bluff and overturned. The driver was not wearing a seatbelt. The 29-year-old female passenger was pronounced dead at the scene at 8:28 a.m., according to the report. Next of kin was notified. MSHP does not provide the names of individuals involved in traffic accidents per a 2024 policy change. The incident marks the 20th fatality in the MSHP Troop Division region, which encompasses 18 counties in the southwest Missouri. This article was submitted by Ryan Collins to the Springfield Daily Citizen. Also then on the Saturday, the March the 7th, police say an individual has life-threatening injuries after a pedestrian crash on Saturday. Lieutenant Ramsey with the Springfield Police Department tells Ozarks First that officers responded around 9:35 p.m. to Sunshine Street and Zimmer Road in Springfield after reports of the incident. Ramsey states the driver was going eastbound on Sunshine when the pedestrian crossed in front of the vehicle. The pedestrian was transported to the hospital following the crash, SPD says. Police reported the driver of the vehicle had no injuries after the accident. The crash remains under investigation, and the story will be updated when new information is available. And out of Camden County, just early this morning, about an hour ago this morning, the Camden County Sheriff's Office is investigating the death of an inmate in its jail Sunday night, according to Chief Deputy Scott Hines. At approximately 10:30 p.m., a 60-year-old male inmate was found unresponsive in the intake area of the detention facility, Hines said. CCSO detention officers believe the inmate had suffered a medical emergency. the detention officers began life-saving measures until emergency personnel from the Mid-County Fire Protection District and Mercy arrived. The inmate was pronounced dead at 11:23 p.m. Missouri State Highway Patrol will be conducting the investigation into the inmate's death.
Sheriff. A suspect might have violated school bus law before deadly traffic stop. Christian County Sheriff Brad Cole on Monday, March 2nd, provided more details on what might have led Deputy Gabriel Ramirez to conduct a traffic stop on Richard Dean Bird last week in Highlandville. Authorities say Bird shot and killed Ramirez on the side of the road before fleeing the scene and engaging other officers in a shootout hours later in Stone County. Christian County Deputy Michael Hislop was killed in the shootout. 2 other deputies were injured but survived, Christian County Deputy Joshua Wall and Webster County Deputy Austin McCall. Cole said both Wall and McCall have been released from the hospital. Law enforcement shot and killed Bird to end the manhunt in the early morning hours of February 24th. It's still under investigation, but our investigation is showing that he, Ramirez, was trying to stop the suspect vehicle for some type of violation of going by a school bus, Cole told the Daily Citizen on Monday. We're still trying to put all that together, Cole said, but that's the indication. Cole discussed the tragedy Friday during an episode of On Patrol Live, a TV series that has featured the Christian County Sheriff's Office this season. The suspect had ran a school bus stop arm, Cole said on the show. A school bus was stopped letting children out. He was trying to make a traffic stop on that vehicle. Cole continued. As Ramirez approached the driver immediately opened fire on him and killed him instantly. Funeral services for Ramirez and Hislop were held Saturday at James River Church. Cole discussed the traffic stop during the service, saying, "When he stepped out of his vehicle that afternoon, I truly believe, with the information that we have, that he was acting as a shield and protecting the children on the school bus that day." Ramirez and Hislop were both Ozark High School graduates who served in the U.S. Army. Ramirez joined the Christian County Sheriff's Office in March 2025, while Hislop had been with the department since October 2019.
See how much Greene County home prices have risen recently. Newly released data from Realtor.com for December shows that potential buyers and sellers in Greene County saw slightly higher home sale prices than the previous month's median of $228,750. The median home sold for $230,000. An analysis of data from Realtor.com shows. That means December, the most recent month for which figures were available, was slightly up higher from November. Compared to December 2024, the median home sale price was down 3.7% to $238,842. Realtor.com sources sales data from real estate deeds, resulting in a few months' delay in the data. The statistics don't include homes currently listed for sale and aren't directly comparable to listings data. Information on your local housing market, along with other useful community data, is available at data.news-leader.com. That's data.news-leader.com. Here's a breakdown on median sales prices. Looking only at single-family homes, the $230,000 median selling price in Greene County is slightly up in December from $228,750 the month prior. Since December 2024, the sales price of a single-family home was down 3% to a median of $237,194. 12 single-family homes sold for $1 million or more during the month, compared to 4 recorded transactions of at least $1 million in December of 2024. Condominiums and townhomes increased by 222% in sales price during December to a median of $984,375 from $305,312 in November. Compared to December 2024, the sales price of condominiums and townhouses was up 40.6% from $700,000. one condominium or townhouse sold for $1 million or more during the month, compared to 2 recorded transactions of at least $1 million in December of 2024. About recorded home sales in Greene County, Missouri. In December, the number of recorded sales in Greene County rose by 33.3% since November of 2024, from 493 to 657. All residential home sales totaled $148.4 million. Across Missouri, homes sold at a median of $255,127 during December, down 1.9% from $259,968 in November. There were 10,906 recorded sales across the state during December, up 12.6% from 9,690 recorded sales in December of 2024. Here's a breakdown of the full state. The total value of recorded residential home sales in Missouri increased by 9.9% from $2 billion in November to $2.2 billion this December. Out of all residential homes in Missouri, 2.37% of homes sold for at least $1 million in December, up from 1.92% in December of 2024. Sales prices of single-family homes across Missouri decreased by 1.7% from a median of $259,997 in November to $255,459 in December. Since December of 2024, the sales price of single-family homes across the state was up 2.1%, from $250,112. Across the state, the sales price of condominiums and townhomes is at a median of $255,000, the same as November. The median sales price of condominiums and townhomes is slightly up from the median of $253,562 in December of 2024. The median home sale price used in this report represents the midway point of all houses or units listed over a given period of time. The median refers to a more accurate view of what's happening in the market than the average sale price, which would mean taking the sum of all sales prices, then dividing by the number of homes sold. The average can be skewed by one particularly low or high sale. This article is from the USA Today and was shared in the Springfield News-Leader this morning.
Douglas County Sheriff's Office plans equipment upgrades after shootout near Reed Springs, Missouri. In the wake of a shootout that followed the fatal shooting of Christian County Deputy Gabriel Ramirez, which killed Christian County Deputy Michael Hislop and injured 2 other deputies, the Douglas County Sheriff's Office is working to address equipment gaps identified during the response. Sheriff Chris DeGasse said his department has been reviewing what fell short during the incident. We've been through a lot. We've had some debriefs with all the other counties and looking at what kind of failed us in this situation in Stone and Christian County, what we could do to improve, DeGasse said. And I think that the biggest thing that we took away from it here in Douglas County was communication and the lack of night vision. DeGasse said the department's budget, as a smaller organization, does not always allow for new equipment purchases, so we began applying for grants. We did receive the Blue Shield grant this year from the state of Missouri and Governor Kehoe. So we're going to utilize that to buy our handheld radios so that we can alleviate the interoperability of things that we ran into in Stone County. So we'll be able to go over there and our systems will be compatible and be able to talk, DeGasse said. Beyond the grant funding, the department plans to use fundraisers, including raffles, to help cover the costs of night vision equipment. We're going to push to get every single officer thermals, scopes, and we're going to push to get every single officer night vision for their TAC helmets, DeGasse said. The sheriff noted that the department had some night vision equipment before the incident, but said it was insufficient for large-scale deployments. We do have some night vision, but it's not every day that you need to send 6 of your guys into the woods and they all need night vision or they need thermal scopes, DeGasse said.
Missouri lawmakers advanced A through F school grading bill. Missouri Governor Mike Keogh requests to grade public schools on an A through F scale is pushing House lawmakers to approve legislation some think isn't quite ready. With approval and dissent on both sides of the aisle, the House voted a bill to create a new school accountability system through the Senate 96-53 Thursday, despite concern the letter grades could be a scarlet letter for underperforming schools. Will this labeling system actually improve schools, or will it mostly brand communities, destabilizing staffing, and incentivize gaming rather than learning? Asked State Representative Kim Smith, a Democrat from Florissant, during House debate Tuesday morning, March the 3rd. She said the key metrics that determine the grade, performance, and growth are volatile. The label itself can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. The bill doubles down on high-stakes metrics that are known to be unstable. The bill's sponsor, State Representative Dane Deal, a Republican from Butler, told lawmakers that a performance-based school report card with A through F grades is inevitable. The details, though, are negotiable. The governor's executive order is going to happen either way, he said. I think we tried to make that process a little better for school districts. Keogh's order directs the state's education department to draw up a plan for the report cards and presents it to the State Board of Education. The board could reject the idea, but a board with primarily new members appointed by Keogh, lawmakers have accepted the system as fate. State Representative Ed Lewis, a Republican from Moberly and chair of the House's Education Committee, told the committee in January that he prioritizes the bills as a way to give lawmakers influence over the final outcome. He is happy with the edits the committee has made, which gives the Education Department more leeway to determine grade thresholds and remove a provision that would raise expectations once 65% of the schools achieve A or B grades. The House also approved an amendment March 3rd that would grade schools' environment. This would be based on the rates of student suspension, seclusion, and restraint incidence rates and satisfaction surveys given to students, parents, and teachers. The Senate's version, which passed out of its Education Committee last week, does not include those changes. I think the House bill is the best product we have in the Capitol right now, Lewis said. I am not saying it's complete, but it is the best we have right now. The changes have softened some skeptics of the legislation, like State Representative Brad Pollitt. Pollitt, a Sedalia Republican, said he didn't support the legislation for a number of years, but with the edits, he sees the potential for the legislation to usher in changes to the way state accredits public schools. The current process, he said, nobody seems to like, pointing to widespread concerns with the state's standardized tests. Some of these changes are already happening quietly. The Department of Elementary and Secondary Education received a grant from the federal government to develop a state assessment based on through-year testing, which would measure student growth throughout the school year instead of a single summative assessment. The department is poised to pilot the new test in 14 classrooms this spring, hoping to eventually offer it statewide within a few years. But the estimated startup cost of $2 million is one of many department requests cut from the governor's proposed budget as the state grapples with declining revenue. Creating the A through F report card is estimated to cost a similar amount, if not more, according to the state's fiscal note. The expense is largely front-loaded, going to the programming technology support required to create the grade cards interface. When the Independent asked Keough's office about the fiscal note, the governor's communication director, Gabby Pickard, said he would work with associated agencies to determine appropriate funding while remaining mindful of the current budget constraints and maintaining fiscal responsibility. The House's version of the legislation includes an incentive program for high-performing schools, giving bonuses to go towards teacher retirement and retention if the legislature appropriates funding for the program. The bill originally proposed incentives of $50 to $100 per student to subsidize teacher pay. This has large fiscal implications, and Lewis surmised that it would violate the section of the state constitution prohibiting bonuses for public employees. Making the funding optional and directing it to the school's teacher recruitment and retention fund remedied those concerns. The Senate Education Committee removed the incentive program in its version of the legislation. The House's approval Thursday does not stop discussion and possible amendments. Next, the bill will go to the Senate for consideration, and if any changes are made, will return to the House for more discussion.
A new era. New owners to reopen Ebbets Field at the end of March. The new owners of Ebbets Field will reopen the iconic Springfield restaurant at the end of March. The first day of operations will be March 27th, 2026, the company announced in a Facebook post. The lights may have gone dark, but the memories never left, the company said in the post. We're stepping back up to the plate with a new logo, a fresh new lineup, and the same hometown spirit you've come to love. After a 29-year run on Walnut Street near downtown Springfield, Ebbets Field closed in January 2024. The restaurant originally opened on Cherry Street in 1981 before moving to its current location at 1027 East Walnut Street in 1994. Last summer, Sydney and Jared Davis closed on the purchase of Ebbets Field, which had sat closed for about 18 months at the time, according to previous Daily Citizen reporting. Sydney Davis, a Springfield native, worked at the restaurant in college and had eyed purchasing the Springfield staple for many years. The owners teased all the nostalgia of the Springfield business as well as a new logo. There's so much more to show you, and we're just getting started, the company said in the post. Oz Air gets federal green light to add Hawaii flights. Springfield-based private aviation and charter provider Oz Air Charter Service has received clearance from the Federal Aviation Administration to add Hawaii flights. With the FAA approval, Oz Air can now do charter business in all 50 states, according to a new release. Oz Air, which operates under the banner of Burgess Aircraft Management, LLC, is based at the Springfield Branson National Airport. This approval represents an important step forward for Oz Air and for the clients who trust us with their travel, owner Mark Burgess said in the release. It expands what we can do today, and it also sets the foundation for longer missions and future international opportunities as we continue to grow. Oz Air manages 7 aircraft and has 25 employees, said Monica Henderson, the company's executive assistant. While Burgess declined to disclose figures, he said via email that company revenue rose by nearly 11% in 2025 compared with 2024.
This article is submitted to the Springfield Business Journal by Karen Crago on March the 6th. Mural's loss stirs up energy to preserve art. When a mural depicting the work of late artist Robert E. Smith was painted over the last weekend of February, some local art supporters began to mobilize, intent on resurrecting the lost work and protecting others. The mural at 400 West Walnut Street was covered in gray primer, followed by a black top coat. It was an initiative of the building's new owner, David Perry, who is moving his business, FMTM LLC, into that space this spring. FMTM, which stands for From Military to Millionaire, offers counseling to service members who want to obtain financial freedom, according to Perry, and he plans to replace the mural honoring Smith with a patriotic design sporting an eagle as its centerpiece. That work will be by Texas-based muralist and graffiti artist Austin Sepulveda of Austin Art. Perry admits the mural honoring Smith was not his aesthetic, but he said he did not realize what it meant to others. I understand now that mural was important to a lot of people, he said. We were unaware of the significance. Nicole Brown, a local real estate agent who was formerly the executive director of Sculptor Walk Springfield, is someone who understood the significance, and upon learning of the removal of the mural honoring the former Springfield resident, she mobilized. She joined Jesse Tyler, a partner with Springfield lifestyle brand SGFCO LLC, to start an effort to bring back the mural in a new location. It was Tyler's February 27th social media post that alerted most people to the loss of the mural, which he photographed as it was being painted over. There was no reason for it to happen. Tyler called the destruction of the mural egregious. There was no reason for it to happen to one of the most important and beloved pieces of public art downtown, he said. The absurdity of this is clear. Everyone knows that is wrong the moment you see it. Tyler and Brown have been working to morph awareness into action, raising funds for the mural to be reestablished downtown in a different location. Brown said she started a fund called Public Art Protection Fund with Community Foundation of the Ozarks, Inc. While she doesn't know how much the new version of the mural will cost, she said the goal is to raise between $25,000 and $50,000. If the wall that is chosen needs work, that can often double the price of a mural. She said there is just a lot of unknowns, and we've only just started. Brown said she is not sure how much money is currently in the fund, and she continues to reach out to potential donors. Tyler thinks some good may have come out of the incident. There's an incredible amount of energy being shown around this, and I'm thinking a lot about how this gets canceled. If we don't want to see these things covered or deteriorating, they must be maintained, not just physically, but with the maintenance of reminding people that what they matter to us. Among good things is a desire by Perry to chip in, Tyler said. I talked to David and was really encouraged to know he wants to help recreate the mural. Tyler and Brown said they want the funds they raised to be released in an established arts nonprofit when work on the mural begins. Tyler said a public GoFundMe will be established once an agreement with a nonprofit is in place, and he anticipates that step will happen in early March. The two also said money raised beyond the amount needed to recreate the mural can be used to support maintenance and preservation of existing public artworks or to further activities and work that celebrates Smith's legacy. As to where the new mural will go, Brown said that's not known yet, but she and Tyler have been contacted by some downtown building owners with walls that are available. It's notable that a community effort is bubbling up to replace an iconic mural credited to artists Ben Bunch and Ryan Thayer because it was a community effort that led to the original work, according to Brown. It will essentially be the same exact way it was done originally, she said. The mural showed a downtown Springfield scene with whimsical characters like a child on a skateboard, a yellow dog, and a man drinking a beer. Even two celebrities, Elvis Presley and Ray Charles. If the images look childlike, there's a reason for that. Smith was classified by the museums that displayed his work as an outsider or folk artist who created beyond the bounds of formal training. His work has been shown in the Museum of American Folk Art, Vanderbilt University, and Springfield Art Museum.
Thank you for listening to the Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service. Tune in every week, Monday through Friday, on the Blind Community Thrift Store's YouTube channel at 10 a.m. for more up-to-date news from the Springfield News-Leader, Springfield Daily Citizen, Springfield Business Journal, and 417 Magazine. Listen after we are live on the Audio Reader Network at www.reader.ku.edu. All broadcasts are played over KSMU's subcarrier airwaves at 67 kilohertz on 91.1 from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Contact Audio Reader Network for information on receiving a pre-programmed radio.